All right, guys, we're back. This is Kevin Kaufman. This is the Next Level Agents podcast, as you know. And as you also know, if you've been listening for the last few weeks, you know what I'm about to say. I'm about to say, go to nlalive.com right now, nlalive.com right now, and get your tickets for NLA Live, this year's biggest and best, well, not biggest, but definitely the best real estate, most relevant real estate content on the planet. It's the best event you could possibly attend. And I know because I attend so many good events, this will be the best. So go to nlalive.com, get your tickets now. Why wouldn't you want to be in Scottsdale, Arizona in December 5th and 6th? Scottsdale, Arizona is the place to be. All right. On to this week's episode. We are getting ready to first thing I'm gonna do. This is part 3 of a 4-part series I'm doing. Very short episodes where talking about kind of like what it takes to succeed massively in business, right? And if you listen to the last 2 episodes, I hope you have. And if not, I'll give you a recap, although I won't give you all of the content and information I put into it. Part 1, or a couple weeks ago, we talked about having a predictable environment and kind of what that is like and how that's necessary. We also talked about keeping score, the need to keep score, the need to display the score, and lead and lag measures as well. And then last week we talked about time mostly. So we talked about business owners actively planning and managing their time, and then how to leverage personal work time. Now, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit this week on my next 2 points, um, in what it takes to be massively successful in business. And we're going to talk about financials. So, point number 5 is massively successful business owners understand their business's financials. And I go even further as to say, so do key people in their world, most likely an employee, but also maybe like a third party bookkeeper. But uh, team or business owners, like business owner, if you're a solo agent, maybe if you have a team, you understand your financials, right? All successful real estate team owners not only review monthly financials monthly, but they understand what they're reviewing. Said another way, if you're going to be massively successful, and here's the deal, numbers intimidate a lot of people. That's okay to feel intimidated. Um, it's not okay to avoid it though. And so what you've got to do is you've got to take the time monthly to review those numbers. One thing I'll tell you that Fred and I do in our business is we review the numbers together, of course, but we also have um, 2 other sets of eyes outside of ours. A coach gets a copy of our numbers as well, so he sees those, as well as our bookkeeping service. We do a monthly and then a more in-depth quarterly review with them as well to go through our financials. And I'll just give them a plug right here. Streamline Business Solutions, SBS, David and Christy Patiglio are the owners and operators of that business. And we've been a customer of theirs for, I guess, probably 11 years, since prior to them actually owning a business. In fact, David still had a job and didn't quite have a business. I think we're a second or third customer. And now they service something like 700 or 800 real estate agents around the country, which is really great because they help give us perspective on how we look, how we're spending how our financials kind of stack up against other teams of our that are in our size range, right? So other teams that are doing a similar amount of deals every year. So it's a really cool thing. So we go through that with them. And whether that's your process or not, the thing is having a having a having a high degree of awareness around financials is super important. And it's also, I believe, super important to have not just your own eyes on your financials, but at least someone else's eyes. Again, that could be like an employee or a third party, or even both, right? I would suggest both. Um, because the more eyes you have on stuff, the more it's actually going to get thought about, talked about, protected, and taken care of. So that's point number 5 is business owners, massively successful business owners, understand their business's financials. My next point this week is about item number 6, and this is for you team leaders, specifically for team leaders. Again, it still applies to you if you're a solo agent, but if you're a team leader, you you've got to be teaching nonstop, right? So it doesn't have to be the same type of content every week, week in and week out. But here's the deal. Um, Massively successful business owners, team leaders are always teaching. You know, a lot of times we're teaching about sales skills and how to convert leads and how to use the CRM. Like, don't get me wrong, like part of that, that's part of it, but so is leadership and investments, life skills, motivation. I'll just share with you a personal story. Like some of the guy, and I know one of the guys is listening to this right now. We've been talking more and more with the folks in our world around entity structures and taxes and investing. So kind of having nothing to do with like going out and selling real estate, more to do with what's after. Because here's what we found. Fred and I have found this to be so true is that we teach our agents to go out and sell houses and to make money. And then the reality is if you don't, if you're not aware of the proper tax strategies, and then it can feel like you're not making as much money as you really are, right? And so Fred and I, you know, we had a kind of a gut check. We had to realize like, hey, we've got to spend more time talking with our people about these subjects too, not just sales skills and not just leadership tactics, but you know, talking more and more about investments, talking more about the business skills, not just real estate skills. So, but the point is, if you're going to have a massive and successful business, then you're going to be teaching nonstop. That's just at the end of the day, that's just the way it works. This looks like group teaching, you know, teaching in groups. It can look like one-on-one for team development. And it could also look like large scale teaching for which I'll talk about in another point next week, large scale teaching, which can help lead to one of the other massive keys to massive success. So that's it. Team leaders teach non-stop. So the 2 points this week, team leaders, business owners, understand their financials, and then they're also teaching nonstop. That's it. Thanks for joining us this week. Come back next week. But before you do, go to nlalive.com. You're probably sick of hearing me say that, but I'm going to be saying it for the next 6 months. Go to nlalive.com now and buy your tickets for NLA Live 2023, December 5th and 6th in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. See you next week.